With the release of Lynae and Mornye, the power rankings in Wuthering Waves have completely changed, and today we're breaking down the top 10 teams in the game right now. Starting with number 10, Camellya. She's still one of the best DPS units in the game. Her best team right now is Mornye plus Lynae. Yeah, it's kind of wheelchair support, but it is what it is. Her second best team is also with Lynae, where you can swap out Shorekeeper. This team performs around 60k DPS. Her older teams, like Mono Havoc with Roshia and Cantarella, are still strong at around 50 to 55k, which is still good enough to clear endgame content. But you will start facing issues in her free-to-play teams with Sanhua, especially in the future as more HP inflation happens in TOA and Whimpering Waste. So if you want to play Camellya long-term, I highly recommend either getting Mornye and Lynae or building her around Roshia and Cantarella. And her S1 is a massive buff, because it gives interruption resistance and makes her way more stable, especially in fights where enemies can interrupt you during her enhanced skill, leading to a huge damage loss. Now talking about number 9, Jiyan. After Iuno's release, Jiyan got a massive buff and actually found a spot in the top 10. His Iuno team is a massive upgrade over the old Mortefi version. The buff is slightly higher than S6 Mortefi, but more importantly, it's Iuno's personal damage that makes the team way better than before. You can also play Jiyan in a Toon Break team with Mornye and Lynae, and this setup is actually very close to his Iuno team, so it's a completely viable option. And before we go further, most of the 1.x DPS best teams are now with Lynae and Mornye because of the insane buffs and synergy they provide. I already made a dedicated video on that, so do check it out. Also, there's currently a massive discount running on Loot Bar, making it one of the cheapest ways to top up. And you don't have to give any login details because they provide self-top-up, making it way safer. Just click my link below for all the offers. Now coming to number 8, Carlotta. She's another unit that got buffed hard by these new supports. Right now, her best in-slot team is Lynae and Mornye. This team is doing around 65k DPS compared to her old team with Zeji and Shorekeeper, which was around 55 to 60k, and Carlotta teams with Cantarella also reach a similar DPS range, which means unlike a lot of other DPS units, Carlotta actually has 3 premium options. Carlotta with S6 Booling is another broken setup, because at S6 she gives 50% additional skill damage, making her insanely strong for units like Jin Shi and Carlotta. So yeah, she has multiple options, and being the only viable Glacio DPS, her value is insane. Now talking about number 7, the Mono Havoc team with Phrolova, Cantarella, and Roshia. This is the best Mono Havoc team right now. The main core is Cantarella and Phrolova, and for the third slot, you can flex basically any support: Roshia, Donjin, Chisa, Shorekeeper, even Lynae. The main damage is coming from the Cantarella plus Phrolova duo, because their synergy is just insane, and you can even add Booling as the third support since she can buff Phrolova's on-field damage at S6. Some other setups, like using Brant, also work, thanks to his super fast rotation and outro that buffs skill damage. This team performs around 70k DPS, and you can easily clear endgame content with it. Keep in mind, the calcs I'm showing are all S0 R1, and they may vary depending on your builds and echo quality. It's just for estimation. Now, number 6, Mono Spectro with Zani and Phoebe. The best version right now is Lynae, Chisa, and Zani, but as you already know, there's no sustain here. Still, it's a strong option if you can play without sustain, especially in the new endgame mode or Whimpering Waste. Lynae is a massive boost here, especially in the new endgame mode thanks to the card buff that gives you extra damage when you Toon Break. Otherwise, the team most of you will run is Zani, Phoebe, and Shorekeeper. This is around 70k to 75k DPS, and I'm ranking it higher because with Quick Swap you can push even more damage. The core is Zani plus Phoebe, and then the third slot depends on who you have. But one important point, Zani without Phoebe drops massively. If you play Zani solo, her damage is actually similar to 1.x DPS, which makes her a much weaker option. Now coming to the top 5. At number 5, we have Mono Fusion with Galbrena, Brant, and Lupa. This team does around 70 to 75k DPS, and with their quick swap synergy, you can push it up to 80k. The synergy between Brant and Lupa is just insane, making Fusion one of the strongest elements in the game. You can slot in units like Chang Li too, because her outro buffs Lupa even more, but her damage falls behind Galbrena, so it ends up weaker than the Galbrena version. For free-to-play options, you can slot in Encore, and if you have Mornye, you can form even more teams, because she's the second fusion sustain option with massive buffs, and while Brant does way more personal damage, Mornye is still a very strong option. You can even play a team like Mornye, Lynae, and Galbrena. It does lower damage, but it's still good enough to clear endgame content. Now coming to number 4, Galbrena, Cantarella, and Qiuyuan. This is the full Echo skill damage team, performing around 75k DPS. This is the team where Phrolova actually reaches her full potential, because Qiuyuan buffs Echo skill damage for both Cantarella and Phrolova. This is one of the strongest teams in the game, but it also has a downside. It's one of the most investment-heavy teams, since you need 3 limited characters and especially the weapon on Phrolova, because her damage drops massively without her weapon. Most of the calcs you see might be a bit higher because everything is S0R1, meaning supports like Lupa, Qiuyuan, Lynae, and Mornye also have their signatures, and those signatures add extra team-wide buffs. Now coming to the top 3. At number 3, we have Galbrena's best-in-slot team, Phrolova and Qiuyuan. What makes this stronger than the Cantarella version is Galbrena's massive personal damage. Qiuyuan buffs make her completely broken, and because both Qiuyuan and Galbrena are enabling it, Phrolova's off-field potential also gets used fully. But again, the weaknesses are obvious. This team is insanely expensive with 3 limited units, and 2 of them, Galbrena and Phrolova, are heavily dependent on their weapons. And the second weakness, there's no sustain. Still, this is currently the strongest team for Whimpering Waste, outperforming basically everything else, because all 3 units feel like they were made for that mode. Galbrena and Phrolova are the strongest characters specifically for Whimpering Waste. Now at number 2, we have Augusta, Iuno, and Lynae. This is currently the best team for Augusta. Lynae outperforms Shorekeeper here, and she also lets Iuno actually contribute personal damage in a way Shorekeeper doesn't. The rotation is a bit longer than the Shorekeeper version, but the damage is way higher. This team averages around 80 to 85k DPS. One key point, in this team you usually use Lynae's burst near the end, so the buffs last longer, and both Iuno and Augusta get full value. And as said, Lynae is currently the best sub-DPS and buffer in the game, so this is one of her best teams right now. Also, Iuno and Augusta can be played as hypercarries too, with Mornye and Lynae, and they're still extremely strong, which just shows how broken Lynae and Mornye really are. Now for number 1, Carlotta, Siakona, and Chisa. This is currently the strongest team in the game, and it's also the only pure hypercarry team in the top 5, just because of how broken Carlotta is, and how much buff value she gets from Chisa and Siakona. But keep in mind, this team's damage can fall below the Galbrena, Qiuyuan, Phrolova team if you don't have Chisa's signature. But keep in mind, this is still the second strongest team right now, because with Arrow Rover, this team gets a massive boost. And the craziest part? Arrow Rover is completely free. As said, Carlotta is the best hypercarry DPS in the game, no doubt. Now, talking about the top teams overall, most of the top 3 to top 4 teams are on the expensive side. They need multiple limited characters, and in some cases, signature weapons too. But yes, there are still free-to-play options, like Augusta with Mortefi, or even Galbrena with Mortefi, and those teams are still strong enough to clear content comfortably. It's just that this video is focused on the best possible teams, so I didn't include the full free-to-play variations here. And one more thing, there are also some duo DPS quick swap setups, especially with Augusta, that can be insanely strong when played correctly. I hope you enjoyed the video. Till then.